It can travel anywhere in time and space.
Right. This is gonna be fun.
Off we go.
Into time and space!
Welcome to Time and Space, the Nerd Party's dedicated Doctor Who podcast. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Phillip Gilfus. Well, we are still doing our countdown to Galley 1. For those who aren't going, I'm sure you're sick of us talking about it, but for those who are going, yes. But it's certainly our biggest Doctor Who convention. Certainly your first.
Oh, yeah. It's my biggest convention
ever. So separate and apart as a convention, and then first Doctor Who. Because I went to Chicago TARDIS, man, I don't want to think about it, almost maybe a decade ago at this point.
You went to Chicago without me?
Well, it's one of those misnomers. It's actually in Lombard, Illinois. But they're like, oh, what's the closest city? Oh, we're in Chicago TARDIS.
So you didn't go to Chicago without me?
I didn't.
Okay. All right.
I did, but it was before I met you.
Wait, what? No, still not okay.
But anyway, that was an interesting one. If I haven't talked about it again, that was the one. I know I've talked to you. That was
listen.
Yonto. I know his real name. That was Yonto from Torchwood was there, as well as Reese from Torchwood.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
sorry, I was just trying to picture who that was.
Yes.
Threw me for a minute. I'm with you.
And then I'm trying to figure I'm sure there's a classic Who person there, but escapes my mind for a moment. But it was, Chicago TARDIS is, if you're making your list of American Doctor Who conventions, it's like probably in the top 5, I would think. It's not huge, but it's pretty good. And I know it's probably gotten better since I've been there, so many years ago at this point. But it was nice because, it was sort of that smallish experience. And so Reese, and I can't remember his real name for the moment, but anyway, he was in the bar and ended up buying me and my friends a drink and chatting for a little bit. Nice. So he's very, much who he is, just a regular Welshman, football fan, all that stuff. So
yeah. Now I have to be honest, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. Mm-hmm. We went to Trader Joe's on Saturday, and that totally set off my anxiety.
It was crowded.
It was very crowded. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Not as many people in costume.
That's true.
Right.
Not quite as many.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm a little concerned about how I'm going to go with a
I think the aisles will be slightly bigger.
Yes, that's true. And we won't be pushing a grocery cart. Where we put? No, we didn't have a grocery cart,
basket.
But we did have a basket.
And hopefully we'll know where things are.
Yes.
We won't have quite the scavenger hunt experience, which I can talk briefly about. This isn't Doctor Who related, but it's geeky related. For Christmas, Jessica here got me a geeky cookbook, basically.
Oh, yeah.
With recipes.
Now, I have to say that
Yes.
he's only telling you guys about this because I didn't post about it on Facebook.
That's true. So someone has to brag about it.
And he was sad about it, and so, yes.
I'm a man who made a meal. This has to be trumpets and spotlighted across the universe. The 99.9% of the meals you make deserve nothing. No mentions at all. But anyway, each of the recipes is, I don't have it in front of me, so I forget the exact title, but each of the recipes has some sort of geek relation. And so I was going through the meals portion, because there's drinks and snacks and blah, blah, blah. But
it's like things from Harry Potter films.
Or Zelda.
Or Doctor Who, or any of those.
Well, I don't think they actually have anything from Doctor Who, but I'll have to look. Yeah, I don't think so. I can't think of any Doctor Who food, but we'll have to think about that.
Fish fingers and custard.
There you go. We'll see if that's good or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, I ended up making...
We will not see if that's good or not. I know the answer to that already.
Ended up doing the shawarma recipe with the hat nod or the hat tip to Avengers.
Yes.
Or the Avengers.
The Avengers were apparently, because I looked at the recipe, giving a hat nod to...
Oh, well, Joss Whedon...
the guy who played Xander in Buffy.
Apparently, during his audition for Xander, at the end of it, he invited everyone for shawarma, and that amused Joss.
So he included it in the Avengers movie, and then it got it. So it's a little bit of a long geekdom.
But it was involved. That's why we ended up going to. One of the reasons we went to Trader Joe's, finding all the spices, and it turned out all right.
I'm not going to. Very good. Yeah. I think it's something we should add to the repertoire.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows any Doctor Who recipes other than
fish fingers and custard,
let us know.
Because we're not eating fish fingers and custard. I mean, not together anyway.
No,
custard belongs on apple crumble.
Well, there you go. Anything specific you're looking forward to Galley One? Because we sort of sat down as a couple and went through the schedule.
Yeah.
We have this kind of cool app you can use and kind of look at the schedule that way instead of...
Yeah, there are a lot of things I'm excited about, but I gotta be honest, the thing I'm very most excited about is my husband's panel.
Yes. Well, I mean, I hope it'll be well. But anyway, yes, I applied and got accepted to do the Babylon 5 at 25, if that's the exact title, discussion panel. Interestingly enough, Gallifrey 1 will actually have a lot of Babylon 5 people there. Like, there's going to be the Babylon 5 celebrity panel.
Contingency.
Yeah, panel. I think it's called Sleeping in Light, of course, named after the last episode. It's going to be, this off the top of my head, so I may be wrong, Claudia Christensen, of course, Susan Ivanova, Patricia Tillman, Lita Alexander. Oh, one more. I feel like there's one more in my head. I can't remember who it is. Now I feel embarrassed. But then they've just added Walter Coing, who played Bester, of course, also known as Chekhov. But anyway, so that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's very exciting.
Delenn. Delenn, I think, is the other person. Mira, I can't remember her last name. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be the...
All the women independent.
Plus Bester.
Yeah.
Plus Chekhov.
Yeah.
Yes. So that'll be interesting because they'll have their celebrity panel, and then Saturday evening will be the panel that I'll be on with also a writer, and I'm sorry I'm blanking on his name, but he's a sci-fi writer of television. He'll be also there. He's wrote Babylon 5, wrote some Star Trek, so that'll be interesting and see how that goes. I'll have to wear my cool Babylon 5 jacket that I bought and figure out how to make the audience fall in love with me.
He uses the word cool. But I don't think he knows what the word means.
Well, it's like a bow tie.
Or a fez.
Mm-hmm. And then we're I don't know when we'll talk about it. Of course, it depends how fast we watch. But one thing I wanted to start to do this month was start a Doctor series together. Now, of course, we've watched the 13th Doctor, obviously, together for the first time. Mm-hmm. But that's sort of it. It's not like we can go back in time and watch Doctor Who for the first... I mean, you're watching a lot for the first time, but I've seen it all. But that's not true, because I haven't seen all of the third Doctor. And so we're going to start watching the third Doctor straight through together, which will be mostly for the first time. For me, and first time for you. Mm-hmm. So that way we can actually sort of watch a classic Doctor and experience what that is like. So how much flows, develops, or whatever. I don't know. Because we've always sort of just jumped back and forth.
Yes, yeah, sort of dipped in.
Yeah.
So yeah, this will be a full rewatch.
So I feel like, I don't know whether it'll be the whole episode or not. Maybe once every season we'll look back and see what each season of the Third Doctor was like. So if there's any Third Doctor fans, let us know, because it'll be kind of me going for the first time. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces, but not a lot, and that's why I'm going through it for the first time.
And I'm excited, because I quite like John Pertwee.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, talking about doctors, that's what we're going to be doing today, except instead of 3...
That's what we do every day, Pinky.
Exactly. Because it's January, we figured, much like our Dr. Man series, we would do a doctor each month. And, appropriately enough, this is January, so it's the first month, so why not talk about
the first Doctor.
The first Doctor. And sort of what prompted this is that there's a YouTube video series, and I'm sure other venues as well, but YouTube was the easiest way to watch it, that's done, that focuses on each Doctor, and we watched it, and sort of serves as a springboard to talk more about William Hartnell and his era of originating Doctor Who and all. So yes, I'll include a link to the YouTube video on our website in the show notes for this episode. But the video is done by Richard D. Carrier under Clever Dick Productions, and it's the video we watched was called Doctor Who Review Part 2, the William Hartnell era. And so what did you think of sort of, it's not long, I forget, 40, 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I always enjoy, in the same way that I like the... what are the little snippets? Doctor Who Confidential.
Yes, the fan shows, yeah.
Yes. This reminded me a lot of that, and we don't have it
for the classic era.
With the classic. I mean, we don't have it for 9 either, I don't think.
That's true.
But this reminded me a lot of that. And his love of classic Who is both inspiring and chastening for me a little bit, because I tend to be quite critical because it wasn't something that I grew up with. I think I've said before, my cousin Trey who is a rocket scientist now, watched it when he was growing up, and so I would see bits of it.
Of course, this would be the Tom Baker era.
Quite possibly.
Yes.
I have no idea. But the theme music scared the crap out of me when I was little. And so that was my only exposure to classic Who. And so perhaps that, to a certain extent, that PTSD colors my view of things. But the enthusiasm that Mr. Carrier has is, catching.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed that.
And I think he does a balance in the video. I don't think he's super critical. Like, for instance, on the sister show I have, the City Alpha 3, when we talk Star Trek, and especially we're doing.
Sometimes you guys are mean.
That's yes, I mean, it's true. We were talking Star Trek Discovery, but even when we talk other Star Trek, there's 3 of us. And each of us have our certain feelings about different series. And, we all love Star Trek, but obviously we can sometimes have opinions. But I think in this one, he obviously, he talks about Doctor Who the same way I feel about Star Trek. Because he's sort of like, in another video sort of about him, he's like, it's sort of above, it's more than just my favorite show. And that's Star Trek with me. So that's why it's sort of a different place. It's sort of like religion is obviously too big, I think, of analogy. But it's somewhat like that, where it's not just like a TV show. It's like this whole thing that was an influence. And so, so I don't think he's necessarily...
By the way, this is the way I feel about the book, The Outsiders, which is why you need to be reading it, mister.
Are you converting me?
I am trying to.
So yeah, I don't think...
I've put up with all your Star Trek, Doctor Who, Babylon 5 stuff. You can read The Outsiders for me.
Yes. But yes, so I don't think he's super critical, but I think he's coming from a genuine place. So, but I don't think he's all necessarily like over infusive either.
No,
he certainly has
and he
an
makes
adult
references.
eye.
Yes, when he was talking about the production of the First Doctor and all of those sorts of things, he does mention very restrained, in a very restrained, possibly very British way. William Hartnell was known to be difficult on the sets,
Well, and I thought it was a good reminder of what he talked about in the video, that when you watch the First Doctor, and this was if you didn't know this already, an adventure in space and time, the 50th special they did on William Hartnell, the whole, and I didn't know this, I don't know, what do I know about British TV production, especially 1960s British television production, but the whole, basically, like, they can't cut. They can't. I mean, it costs money to do this stuff, and so that's why some of it, where the camera bounces or a prop moves or Hartnell messes up one of his lines, like they can't. I mean, they can fix it, but it costs them money, so that's why they don't do it that often.
Yeah, and so he talks a lot about the fact that it was quite similar, even though it's not in front of an audience of any sort. It's quite similar to doing live theater, because you do just sort of have to keep going and hope for the best in cases. So that it didn't cost a tremendous amount of money. And the other thing that I really liked was talking, and again, you get it in the 50th anniversary film, the sheer groundbreakingness. I'm going to make that a word. of the whole thing. I mean, from the get-go, with Verity and... That's right?
Yeah. Verity Lambert as the producer.
Verity Lambert as the producer, and was it the director?
Yeah, that's not his name. Hussein's his last name. Walrus, I think that's his first name. But anyway, gay, director, and so. Yeah,
and I just find it amazing that in the 60s, these are the people who are breaking this ground, and I think it's wonderful. It's just a delight. It soothes my soul in these troubled times, if you will.
So, I mean, and just so other points from the actual video, thinking about the First Doctor, and haven't seen an awful amount of the First Doctor, but what did it make you think about upon reflection of what you know of the First Doctor? And also not just Hartnell, though him too, but also the companions and the stories.
Yeah,
and all that.
I thought it was interesting, and I hadn't really thought about Ian being the hero.
Right.
Which he talks about, and the actor who played Ian had just come off being Lancelot in a series, I
Yeah.
think, and so he had this hero idea. And I hadn't really thought about it. And they talked a lot about the original remit of education. And I hadn't really thought about that. You know, we've talked about the 13th Doctor and the reintroduction of a lot of science-y stuff.
Right.
Theoretically with the aim to introduce more girls to STEM things. But the idea behind Doctor Who originally was this idea. And so now I'd like to go back when we talked about the different ways that each Doctor, the different things each Doctor had in common with the 13th Doctor. I want to go back and talk about the fact that the first Doctor and the 13th Doctor have that in common, that is an emphasis that the showrunners, the writers, whoever want to place on this, possibly for different sections of the children who are watching it, but I find that really interesting. And
yeah, and I was trying to think of the whole educational framing, like you said, you know, with having the teachers, and then, you know, the Doctor is sort of the doctory figure. But I was wondering, were they successful or not? Like, in other words, that's the framing device that we all know, or if you don't know, I mean, that's sort of the framing device. You're going to have teachers for the kids, Susan's the kid, Doctor's the smart guy, we go from there. But I'm like, it's not really either A, it sort of didn't follow it after that. You know, it's like that's the framing, but then the show just turned into something else, something good. Or B, they're doing it so well we don't even notice.
yes,
You know, it's not like, oh yes, these are the Aztecs. Yes, the Aztecs were from ancient Mexico. And, you know, it's nothing like stupid, I guess, you know, but I mean, it's not like sort of blatantly educational. And again, maybe that's how American education television usually looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but in, you know, with Doctor Who, especially the Ian Barber era, you know, it is sort of more, you know, because I think Aztecs is a very good serial, but it's dealing with such a, you know, the interfering with society and history and time, and what does that mean? You know, Barber wants to do good, you know, posing as a god, and wants to make societal changes, but the Doctor explains if you change this will happen, and then people will die, and da-da-da-da. Even though you think you're doing good.
I mean, that's the key to good educational television, isn't it? That
so there are a bunch of 9-year-olds coming up with these temporal morality lessons.
Yeah, and learning about the Aztecs. And I would suspect that, you know, as American students, learning about the Aztecs was a small part of our education. As British children, I don't know how much they do about the Aztecs, because it's not quite so this is on our
Hemisphere.
doorstep. Yeah.
Though I wonder how accurate all the history was.
Yeah. And now I want to go on a mad search for the Marco Polo episodes.
Yes, that was mentioned.
I want to be Marco Polo of the Marco Polo episodes.
That's right.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Though, also,
so we've quit our jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're off on a hunt.
That's right. We're going on an adventure.
Marco.
But one thing that I, watching the Carrier video, made me think about was, in a lot of ways, and this can be true of other Who, but just focusing on the first Doctor series, it is sort of and maybe it's the black and whiteness, which as an American calls to me, it is sort of like classic horror. Like in the Dracula, Frankenstein, Hollywood monster movie days. But because, I mean, a lot of it with the Daleks and even the Aztecs, it's all very horror in a way. You know, the sort of the theme and the tone in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Which is not.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's not a critique. I mean, I think it's a very interesting that a first Doctor story. I mean, it sort of leads to the whole cliche of hiding behind the sofa as a kid.
Yeah, and everybody uses that as a cliche. I find that when they're talking about Doctor Who.
Yes.
And I find that really strange because, as a child, listening to the Doctor Who theme song terrified me. I never hid behind the sofa.
Well, maybe because Americans, we usually against the wall. It'd be really hard to.
I wondered
do
about
Britons
that
just
too,
put the sofa in the middle of the room?
That's the thing that makes it a cliche. Because then I was thinking about it, and I was like, "That's because the sofa was against the wall." And so, is that a cultural divide?
Yeah, that's right.
That Americans put their sofa against a wall, and British people do not.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know better than I would.
I would, but my sofa in all of the houses that I lived in, all of them were against a wall.
Yeah. Well, of course, then maybe the more family housing.
Well, and I suppose it depends on how your house is broken up. Because technically, we've got a sectional sofa.
Yeah.
And so part of it's not against a wall.
Yeah.
But then
Do you hide behind the desk?
I hide behind the desk so often, actually. It's not to do with Doctor Who, but yes.
And also, again, it's weird to talk about the first Doctor like we're just staying in the first part because, there's Stephen and I can't remember all of them, Dodo, and then you get Ben and Polly, and I'm skipping others, all these other companions. But it's like, when you think first Doctor, you really just think that Barbara, Susan, Ian.
Yeah.
But of course, I as the video points out, there are great stories outside of that original series era, if you want to call it that. That sort of tends to where you gravitate to. But I mean, it just means to watch more of them again.
Yeah.
Of course, there's so many lost ones that doesn't help.
That's true, yeah. And I don't know if I've watched any Doctor Who episodes without...
Well, you watched The 10th Planet. That's when the Doctor met the Cybermen, and that was Ben and Polly.
Okay.
The last serial.
All right, yeah, vaguely, yeah. I mean, I remember the series. I vaguely remember Ben and Polly. Because that, yeah, that's the Cybermen.
Yes.
And the little cyber rats, the first time the little cyber rats appear.
No, because they don't appear till the Tomb of the Cybermen with the second Doctor.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one was the first ever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, anyway.
Got nothing.
But anyway, one thing I was thinking of, and again, it's been a while since I've watched all of it, but I think with Ian and Barbara, we tend to think of them as a couple, but there's not literally written a romance. But strongly...
Suggested?
Well, I wouldn't say implied. I'd say inferred.
Okay.
I think we're all
so
like...
They didn't intend for it,
well,
but we chose
I don't know if they did or not, but I think it's...
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do that anyway, don't we? I mean, you do it with Matt Smith and Clara Oswald, which I appreciate is muddying up the names. Yeah. And even for a long time, the 10th Doctor and Rose, until it's... Actual, yeah. And even then, I prefer the suggestion and the whiff of a romance without the... I mean, I loved the scene where he's about to tell her he loves her and then he vanishes, but I still don't want that to be an I'm in love with you thing. I don't want that.
I love you, Rose, but I'm not in love.
But in a platonic, hey, let's be mates kind of way. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, this is going to be mates. Catherine Tate's getting married.
To whom?
It's an American scriptwriter, I believe. You'll have to... The Daily Mail was sort of like, oh, she's getting married for the first time at 50. But anyway.
Oh,
the
that's
point,
dreadful.
It is. But the point is, larger point is, she's going to get married. So, there you go.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Good on her. Although, again, some of my Catherine Tate era, and I have a bit of a long one, obviously, but during some of my Catherine Tate era, she was dating a guy from Take That.
Oh.
And so...
How'd you feel about that?
Oh, I liked it.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, I'm just a little sad about that, but that's just me being a fan. I was like, oh, that's an interesting combination. We should go with that. Obviously, her happiness is much more important than my shipping, right?
Exactly.
That's you keep telling me that, right?
You can't marry all fall in a man bands. That's right.
I do love a good man band.
So for refresher, and just to close with focus here, I'm
not sure we focused in any way, shape, or form tonight.
We reread our Doctor First book, because of course everyone knows we love our Dr. Mann books.
Yes.
But anyway, focusing sort of on the stereotype of the First Doctor, this tetchy, old man. Do you think that's deserved, or do you think we see more than that stereotype when we actually watch?
I mean, I think we definitely see more of that, but I also think that that's part of his thing. Uh-huh. He is the curmudgeon.
Right.
And that's, perhaps initially written so that Ian could be the hero. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But curmudgeon doesn't mean dreadful.
Yeah, because when not being of the time, but at least being shown and being told that Bill Hartnell loved this role because children all loved him, and it's sort of like, how is he lovable? But I don't know. Again, I don't know. I've never had a British grandfather. Maybe that's what they're like.
I suspect in a lot of ways it might be.
Yes.
Particularly of that era. And it's so clear, I mean, when he leaves Susan, he does it in a very brusque way that I might not have chosen.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
But he does it because he loves
Well, yeah,
her.
there's that bit of, because he sort of, I can't remember the guy's name, but anyway, he sort of brushes up against the young man, I can't remember his name, Invasion of the Daleks, whatever it's called, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, sorry, I did cheat on the notes there, but anyway, but then when he suddenly realizes that the young man and Susan are sort of have a thing, he's like, okay, well,
yeah,
it's not my cup of tea, but it's going to make her happy, and let me give her a push, so she doesn't feel like she has to take care of the old man.
Yeah. Now, how much... do you have a lot of memory of either of your grandfathers?
No, because they both died before I was born.
Well, that's what I wasn't sure about. And
yes.
My mother's dad died when I was quite little, but the memories that other people have given me of him was that he was quite jolly and quite delightful. But the grandfather that I had until it was my first year in England when he died, so I was in late 20s when he died. And he was very gruff.
Right.
He was a truck driver, he was gruff, he was really rough around the edges. He was probably really quite racist in a lot of ways.
Kind of like the first Doctor.
Yeah. But I also knew that he loved the dickens out of us. From his lounge chair with his alcohol in his hands. But he did love the dickens out of us, and so maybe I don't think that's necessarily an uncommon grandfather theme of that time.
Well, because I think it is always interesting to see, we're just going to say Doctor, just see the Doctor happy or there's moments of when he's, and then again, not to keep going back to the Aztecs, it's just the one I really think about the most, when he's flirting, basically, with that woman in the garden.
Yeah.
Kind of, because he's really has an angle just to get information, but he's actually getting into it after a while, with the hot chocolate, which is, very representative there.
Wink.
Yes. But even like with the Feast of St. Stephen's, when he looks at the camera and wishes all of us a Merry Christmas, his little laugh, and when he's, all those things, he does, probably not purposeful. This is a retro, analysis, that since he is the first Doctor, he is the youngest Doctor, that you sort of see that childlike young part of him, looking back on 50 plus years of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That you can see that.
I think in a lot of ways he's a quintessential grandfather, and you can just see him meeting the kids out on high streets all over England and patting their heads just that little bit too hard. I think you're fascinating, small child, but I am not sure what to do with you, kind of thing. So, yeah, I get that. I get that completely. And grumbling about it, and grumbling about all these children coming up to him, but just kind of loving it at the same time.
Being the center of attention.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no one pay attention to me, but pay attention to me.
And from children especially, when there's such an innocence and delight. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we will definitely try to watch a little bit more First Doctor. Of course, we got a lot on our plate right now. But, yeah, a little bit more just to maybe some non-Ian and Barbara, just to get taste.
Also, I'm looking forward to the Marco Polo episodes. We're going to watch those next, right?
Sure, if you want to watch a bunch of telesnaps.
Pictures.
See, that would be an interesting thing. Well, maybe this is just me. Of where if you could just get the scripts and just do like a reading.
Yeah. Well, we should look into it. Yeah. That would be an interesting episode for us, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just get a bunch of people together and do a reading of a show that...
Yeah.
The filming doesn't exist.
Yeah. Write
that down, baby. Let's get to work on that. Don't include this part in the radio in the podcast though, because somebody will copy our idea.
Oh no! Don't steal our ideas. Well. Any final words on the First Doctor? Of course, we'll talk about him many, many more times. But like I said, we're just going to do a little monthly spotlight, and so we're going to start here in January.
I'm still really sorry he killed himself in Broadchurch.
I think that's David Bradley playing the We'll talk about different characters later.
What do you mean? I don't understand. He killed himself on Broadchurch. And it was the 13th Doctor she had... and the 10th Doctor.
I know.
They had something to do with that. Conspiracy.
Cool. Well, yeah. So, yeah. Well, here's to learning more about the man who started it all.
Yep.
William Hartnell and the first Doctor. But until then, we will go off into the TARDIS library.
When you close your eyes,
I go to the library.
go to the library now.
So into the TARDIS library, we are going to go visit a recent Big Finish production we listened to, though it's not necessarily a recent Big Finish production.
It's not an ancient Big Finish. And we're not talking First Doctor.
No. Though David Bradley has recorded some First Doctor Big Finish productions.
Before he killed himself in
Broadchurch, yes.
Yeah.
But no, our production premiered first in June 2017, and it is the...
Lives of Captain Jack. Hooray!
Yes, that's, of course, Captain Jack Harkness with John Barrowman steering or helming this box set from Big Finish. So, as with most box sets, it's 4 episodes. I know you were very disappointed there were no extras on this one.
There were no extras. I was, very sad. I needed my Doctor Who Confidential here.
Yes.
And we've gotten them with all of it. Is there any other one that hasn't done
Not that off the top of my head.
cast interviews afterwards?
I mean, because we've listened to, the 8th Doctors are not box set. They're just the single episodes. But no, most of the box sets seem to have. Maybe it's they started after a certain year. I don't know.
Yeah, but this had also so many interesting characters played by actors I would have loved to have heard from.
Sure. So let's go through each of these 4 episodes. So the first one, if you want to tell us the title and synopsis.
I do. The Year After I Died by Guy Adams. Set in the year 200,101, on an Earth ravaged by the Daleks, Jack struggles to save humanity from its oldest enemy.
Sure, and I think this is set, obviously, after the parting of ways, if I'm saying that episode correctly, the 9th Doctor's last episode, on the station, and Jack dies, and blah, blah, blah. This is sort of like, several months later, or I forget, actually, they do say how long, I can't remember, a year, or anyway, that basically Jack is now on Earth, following the Dalek invasion, and sort of is to himself in the woods, and a reporter finds him, and the hijinks...
Keeps calling him a hero, which he doesn't like.
Which seems to be a whole...
theme.
For this whole box set.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I didn't realize it until I said it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. So anyway, what'd you think of this episode?
It was my least favorite of the 4.
Because it eventually all goes to this space station where it's the elite of Earth are... doing secret things, I guess, without spoiling the whole thing, are doing things that have to the other people of Earth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and again, I don't like space stations. I think that's what it is. I'll look at the
it was a bit of a bottle episode.
But yeah. And the others...
And it was all humans, too, I guess.
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily bother me. Obviously, some of the others had familiar names and things like that, so...
I thought the interesting thing about this episode, at least from the Captain Jack perspective, is that he's struggling, or, he doesn't know what happened on I forget the name of the space station in the Parting of Ways, but during during the Dalek invasion on the reality show Space Station, he doesn't know that he died, and that Rose brought him back. It hasn't quite clicked. I mean, he knows something happened, but I think he just, somehow the Dalek missed him and he just passed out or something. But it's sort of giving him this rather cautious mentality of, oh, that was a near-death experience and I don't, want to die, obviously. And so that's why he's sort of by himself in the woods, and he's sort of having to reluctantly join on these adventures without putting himself at risk because, he doesn't want to die.
Yep. Interesting.
So just him having that the dramatic irony of us knowing that he has that power, but he doesn't know it yet. It's sort of an interesting thing to watch as the character.
Yes, very much so.
Now for the second episode, it is Wednesdays for Beginners by James Goss. In this, Jack and Jackie Tyler... That threw me off, Jack and Jackie. Anyway, do it again. Jack and Jackie Tyler must unite to rescue the Powell estate from a force whose name Jackie can never say. So this is an interesting cameo. Of course, Jackie Tyler. Sorry, I did not look up the actress who plays her, but Rose's mom. It's almost really her episode more than it is Jack's.
Oh, yeah. And she does some fabulous work because she spends so much of the time talking to herself.
Yes, it's from a writing standpoint, it is a little like, I guess it is the audio drama challenge because it is all audio, and so you're in this strange position that if you only have two characters, I guess this is what do you call it? A two-hander.
Yeah.
I mean, more or less. That you just have to have the characters talk to themselves an awful lot, which is slightly unnatural, but, you go for it.
But she pulls it off beautifully, and it's written well as well. I mean, some of it she's on the phone, other times she's actually talking to people, other times she's talking to herself, and then she talks about the fact that she needs to get a dog so that talking to herself isn't quite so weird, and a dog who can't run away, so maybe a dog with something wrong with one of its paws.
Old clubby foot.
So it won't run away from her. It's just absolutely delightful and so quintessentially Jackie.
Yeah, actually,
I thought.
If you think maybe it's if you don't enjoy the character, I think this encompasses what the character is all about. She's very fun-loving, gossipy and all that. But she's someone who loves life. But she is also, damage isn't the right word. But anyway, at least at this point in her timeline, her husband was killed, and she had to raise, her daughter alone, and so she sort of lives for her daughter. Now her daughter's away, traveling with the doctor, so she's sort of having to struggle with her identity and what her life is and all that stuff. But I think this episode makes that character interesting if you didn't find that interesting before. So
yes, yeah. This was absolutely delightful, I thought. I didn't necessarily get some of it with the fog, and did they really ultimately figure it out, or did they end it with the two of them being on their own? And then there was the party, so some of the people...
it ended... No, it ended... I mean, I don't know, not to spoil it. It ended on a happy note. Yeah.
Clarity was a little bit tricky.
Right.
But that's okay.
But not a little bit Mickey.
But not a little bit Mickey. She does go looking for Ricky at some point.
Yes.
But to be honest, I was just so delighted to spend a little bit of time with Jackie that I was okay that I didn't completely get the plot.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, so obviously Captain Jack is in this as well, so you get that little intermix, but it's really more for episodes, so it's certainly a recommend for, even if you think you don't like Jackie, I think it's certainly a good episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's not somebody that I would go, oh, yeah, love her, but...
But it is one of those characters that does match well with Jack, because they're both very cheeky together.
Yes.
So who's going to out-flirt who?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she keeps telling Rose when she's on the phone with her about her stalker, her good-looking stalker, because Jack's always around. Bless. Right. And then our third episode, One Enchanted Evening by James Goss. Captain Jack and Alonzo Frame have only just met, but why did the Doctor want them to be together?
So this is sort of one of those what-ifs from Captain Jack's history, so of course... the end of time. So we go from right after the 9th Doctor's final episode to right after the 10th Doctor's last episode, when, of course, he infamously introduced Alfonso, or sorry, I was just thinking
Alonzo.
I was just thinking Alonzo.
Yes, Alonzo.
To Captain Jack. Yeah. Which and we'll talk about the episode, but one thing that, and I don't know if it was, maybe there's like literal reasons why they couldn't mention it, or whether figurative reasons, but anyway, I was waiting for a Yonto reference in this because to remind, in that end of time, when the 10th Doctor basically, salutes Jack for the final time, at that point, that's the end of right after Children of Earth, when Jack has escaped Earth, because Yonto died.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's sort of alone on the space day. It's sort of the end of proper Torchwood. Yes, I know, there's Miracle Day. But anyway, not to throw shade. But anyway, so that's sort of where his character's at. And so during the course of this episode with him and Alonzo, who's a younger man, and there's a lot of times where, one thinks the other died, and one other thinks the other died through these harrowing adventures on a space station again as well.
Yep. Yeah, but I liked this one.
Yes, but I really was hoping for we didn't need the name Yonto, and I'm not one of those diehard Yonto Torchwood people. But it did happen, and that's part of Jack's story. I was thinking sort of, oh, this happened to me before, not again, or something like that. So.
Yeah. I really love this. I don't know if it's the fact that I have a soft spot for
Russell.
Alonso, or if it's that I have a real soft spot for Russell Tovey, which I do, very much so. But he always, and this is not throwing shade on him, but he often plays very similar characters.
Right.
This sort of bumbling, shy-ish, squeaky kind of character that I just find very endearing from him.
Mm-hmm.
And the chemistry between Alonso and Jack, I thought was I kept picturing them in two separate sound booths, hoping that they could at least see each other to give each other these cheeky winks or something like that. But it works because throughout the majority of the episode, they're not in the same room together. But I just thought it was absolutely delightful. Their chemistry was so gorgeous. I just loved it.
I think the actors' chemistry was good, like you said. I think for the characters themselves, this is me. From a writing standpoint, I would have wanted more in the beginning. Because, not to spoil the whole thing, but, there's sort of, it's right after they've met. They're sort of going to Alonso's room, and then sort of the shenanigans start happening and hijinks, and so they're sort of locked out of the room. But, throughout the whole episode, they're sort of, making, winks at each other. But I really need, in order for that to be the one night stand that turns into something more, there needs to be they don't have to actually do it, but they need to be some kiss, something.
No, and see, I completely disagree because to me that was the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they think they're about to get to the point, nope, they get pulled. At the end of it, they're like, "Oh, here we are together, and we're about to get in the nope, that's not going to happen." Here we are, and we're headed to the set. Nope, that's not going to happen. That was the thing I loved.
I just thought that in order to have the investment, you need to at least have had the taste,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
One lick of the ice cream, I do want the whole ice cream.
Okay.
But
I'm a little concerned about your metaphor choices, my darling.
But because, in other words, their whole time, but I'm at a certain point, I would have been well, this isn't worth it.
But I also got I feel like there was an understood something.
Right.
Because it's not like Jack, after the doctor tells him Alonso's name or writes down Alonso's name or whatever it is, that Jack doesn't immediately go to the bar and be like, Alonso, off we pop.
Yeah.
And then they walk to his bedroom without any sort of touching or anything, and then shenanigans. Things happened that we don't get to see.
Well, it can't have been that much. Alonso's pretty shy.
Oh yeah, but he's also taking Jack back to his
I would have
room.
at least wanted a light makeout in the elevator or whatever they call it. And
I figured that happened.
Yeah.
You just didn't get to see it.
Yeah, but I just think you needed that investment so that way the whole episode, this whole is this more and what is it? What, and
No,
that's
I didn't need it at all. Didn't need it at all. Thought it was gorgeous.
I did think the villain, oddly enough, voiced by Katie Manning, Joe Grant, Third Doctor Joe Grant, was very weird. Took me out of it sometimes.
Nothing.
I want to eat you, Mother Nothing.
Mother Nothing.
Yeah, it was kind of a little over. Nothing wrong with what the actress was doing. It's just what she was reading and how she was directed. It just seemed like a cartoon inside of a.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mother Nothing didn't do. I was just so intent on Jack and Alonso and their constant hit and miss.
Yes,
connection.
More miss than hit.
Yeah. Wait, you're on.
Without
You're on section 8. I'm on section.
Section 9.
Yeah.
It would have been funnier if he was on section 6 and he was on section 9, and they could have done it.
Stop!
Okay.
Why do you need this ice lolly thing? It's weird.
But without spoiling anything, did the ending? Were you good or bad about it? I'm not upset, but they did it a little too much, and then to have it end that way, I'm like, all right, guys, then stop. Stop effing around with me.
No, I wasn't. I was like, yeah, that's just
how it's got to be.
That's how it's got to be. Yeah, they'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't spoiler. There's a little too much of like, oh, well, one's dead, the other thinks he's dead. Oh no, and the other one thinks he's dead, and like happened like 20 times, and so that's what
it does happen a lot. To be fair, Jack did die at least once.
Well, that's true.
during
That's
it.
true. Yes,
At least once. So,
yes.
they weren't wrong.
And so we further around the Jack's timeline with the 4th episode with Month 25 by Guy Adams. The synopsis is, he's the young star of the time agency, and his whole life is about to fall apart. But that's not going to stop him winning. So I generally like this. Thematically, the order of the episodes bothers me.
Yeah, it didn't.
I mean,
but I understand why it would do.
And again, I don't mind time jumping stories because I'm an advanced listener, viewer. I can handle that. But when it's a box set, because like unlike the River Song, this isn't a serialized box set. Of course, it's out of order, so of course I suppose it still could be. But anyway, so it's not like I want or necessarily need a serialized story where they all go together. But I feel like it's better to see the characterization of Captain Jack if they're in order. Because, for instance, this is the 4th episode. It actually should be first, because this is sort of pre-Dr.
You
Jack.
say that.
Yeah, well,
You
that's
say
true.
that.
That'd be spoilerly, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But the main character is Time Agent. I can't remember his name. Before he was Captain Jack Harkness.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I don't know. It's
It
like
was-
Leon?
No, something that started with a J.
Anyway, but yes, because he had like these 3 names.
It was fancy.
Yeah.
It was fancy and unusual.
But anyway, so he's Time Agent, whatever his name is.
I am sad Spike wasn't in it.
Yeah, I actually thought it was the other guy for a second, his partner, because I couldn't get the voice. I'm like, well, maybe James Marsters is just getting a while to adapt to audio, but nope, it's not him. Okay.
Yeah.
So he would have been on the cover because they don't hide these things.
Yes, but
So,
that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to revisit
Yes.
Jackie and Alonzo, then we need Spike.
Yes. So, but anyway, what'd you think of the episode overall?
Yeah, overall I liked it. Again, it got a little bit mucky.
I think the hard part will go.
Well, I don't know if I was trailing off or if I was thinking of the next words. I'm trying to think of ways not to spoil it.
Well, I will say this. I think in some ways the story's a challenge. I mean, in good and bad ways, because we don't know much, if anything, about the time agency other than the sporadic mentions we've gotten in Torchwood, which is not much. And so it's hard to be invested in this world that we know a little about. But on the other hand, since we don't know, there's a lot that you can create. But it goes both ways, I guess, much like Jack.
Yes. Yes. But overall, I quite liked it. I quite liked getting some of that history of Jack before he's Torchwood, before he's even Jack.
Yes.
That was all very interesting.
Because the characterization is he's sort of the Captain Jack, again, not to use the hero word, though that's an interesting theme to explore with this whole box set, but it's before he's a hero. He's just sort of jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, he has all these skills that we know that he has, but he just doesn't have the discipline or not discipline. I mean, even Captain,
discipline's the right word.
He's not a leader.
No, not at all. Not at all. And he's got his partner in time, whatever, who has been telling him about his poorly husband. Yeah.
And he can't even remember his husband's name.
And Jack doesn't even care.
Yeah.
And those sorts of things, and you can see Jack in that.
Right.
Because even Captain Jack is a little bit self-absorbed.
Right.
But not to the extent that he was then. So, yeah, you can see glimpses of who Jack's going to end up being.
And what do you think about, to close up here, of the hero theme? Is Captain Jack Harkness a hero?
Yeah, of course.
In whatever
he is.
that word means.
Yeah, of course he is. But that's, I think, part of the definition of a hero is somebody who doesn't see themselves as heroic. Because it's like a bit like bravery. If you weren't scared to do it, it wouldn't be brave that you did it.
Right. You'd just be a psychopath.
Yeah. And that's sort of the definition of a hero. If it weren't scary, if you weren't putting yourself on the line to do something, then you wouldn't be a hero.
Yeah, because I think we all have, in all these episodes, like, is Jackie a hero? Because she doesn't feel like she is. Is Alonso a hero? Because he's like, I'm not. But they all have these things. Either they're looking at Jack as a role model, possibly, or in reaction to, and Jack himself, and to the unspoken reaction, of course, to the Doctor, and the Doctor's influence on Jack, and all this stuff. And so it all melds together and whatnot.
And how other people give us strength.
Right.
Whereas Jack got a lot of his strength from the Doctor. These characters.
And
Rose.
To be fair.
Absolutely.
And the heart of the TARDIS.
Okay, I got it. These characters get their strength from Jack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as far as I know, this is the only... And I don't know, I'm sure that maybe he did more. But
Including
anyway.
the fact that Jack gets his strength from Jack.
That's true. That's a spoiler. We won't tell you for which episode, which really leads to a predictable scene. All right.
Yes, it does.
I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoy.
But go listen to this one. Sorry.
Yes.
Go listen to this
Oh,
one.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
Definitely. It's a recommend.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, even if you're not a Torchwood person. I mean, Captain Jack's both Doctor Who and Torchwood.
Oh, yeah, and you don't need to know. I mean, with this one, there was no Torchwood.
No.
Really.
Other than they used the music a little more.
Yeah, but you don't need to know anything about that canon.
No.
To find this one interesting and entertaining.
Not at all. Well, for next week, I think we have a topic in mind. You know, one thing we didn't talk about, and we can talk about it next week, is we saw a movie recently.
That's right.
That cameoed or included some Doctor Who actors, but of course it's British, so there's only 25 actors in Britain, so...
Tops.
Yeah, so that's how I included them. But anyway, that was The Favourite, of course, the Olivia Colman-helmed film. And one of the actors in it is Mark Gatiss.
Of course,
who's had a few associations with Doctor Who. And so next week we're going to be talking about Mark Gatiss and his role in Doctor Who, both in front of and behind the camera. We may or may not split into 2 parts or not, depending on how much we get to.
And then we're just going to create a third one just for Sherlock.
I was about to say.
Give us a good chance to do a Sherlock rewatch.
Exactly.
Oh, and I love the guy that plays the bad guy.
Moriarty. Mm-hmm. Andrew?
Andrew something. Yeah.
Scott?
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Good.
But anyway.
He's brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Well, until then, we hope you enjoy watching, reading, and listening to the Doctor's adventures throughout time and space.
This is BBC Television.